So patient's always facing you, heads 12.
Do we do both sides down?
We do
So
both
like
sides.
swap?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, do both sides for sure. Okay, so again, thumb on the groove. Your starting position on the right side down is at about 7 o'clock. So just again, the tail 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so you're going to come in at about the 7 o'clock position. Remember, when you're in on the heart, what you're trying to do is get the long axis of the heart. So you may be at 7:35 to 7:40, or you may be at 6:30. So you're just barely twisting the probe to get the long axis of the heart. Just that's your main goal when you're in there.
Are you feeling for the apical beat?
You can do
Decide?
that. Yeah,
How are you
that's
deciding?
easy. I just kind of fish around on the ribs when I get
For a
in there.
cat, I mostly try to find the apical beat
Yeah.
because you're in a much smaller little square.
Yeah, and it's
For me.
always okay, and I do tell that. Just you can always feel for where the heart's beating the strongest. Okay, so if you know your weight caudal, and we always joke about this, if you can ever get the gallbladder and liver from the dorsal position, throw them on your echo table. You can see right between the ribs, and that's kind of the joke, but you can see how you can go right to the gallbladder. So if you see liver and gallbladder, just know you're kind of too caudal, so you just need to kind of come up a few rib spaces, cranial. Okay, so on this heart,
nice
what we
picture.
want to, we want to lay out, and this is a good point, because right now my probe's at 9 o'clock, and you can kind of see the short axis view it's kind of giving you, which is a reversed mushroom. Okay, so what I'm going to do is twist my thumb more towards the tail, going towards 7 o'clock. And you can see you twist right into the sagittal plane. Okay, just like on abdominal, we want good grayscale from top to bottom. We want good depth. You want the heart about 75% of the screen. Okay, one of the common things I see a lot is that depth set too shallow, which you're cutting off the pericardium, posterior kind of part of the heart. So you always just want to set your depth to where you can definitely see at least to the pericardium, which is the bright white line.
But you don't need to change the focus.
Well, if you
TGC.
notice, TGC and
Okay.
focal point. So if you notice right now, I don't have a focal point on, but if you guys please start playing with your focal point, okay? And I'm going to show you where to turn that on at.
Okay.
Okay, so it's the drawer by the star, the 2 arrow keys, we touch that. We go to the focus with a pound sign, we're going to hit that. If you notice, the little arrow comes on now, and you can move that up or down with the one without the pound sign on it. Okay, so focal point, if you remember, if anyone told you, it's like the old hourglass with the sand coming through the middle. That's what the ultrasound beam does. So the very center part of the beam is the most focal area. So all we're doing is telling the beam, hey, we're looking in this area, give us the best focus that you can. So that's imaging with a focal point. And by all means, please, on abdominal or anything else you're imaging, it's always okay to put a focal point on there, get a little more resolution with your study there. Okay, so on TGC, you notice we have good grayscale. We probably even could back that down just one, just so we're not over bright with our image. Our first image, and if you notice, I'm not moving my hand hardly at all. Okay, so once you're in the one good rib space, you pretty much are just going to hold still. So our first image is going to be of our mitral valve. Okay, so on the heart, in this position, you have the right heart up here, right ventricle, right atrium, left ventricle, mitral valve in the middle. Okay. Our first image, we want to catch the mitral valve open to its widest point. So we're just going to kind of, if you see where the valve popped open here, all the way against the chamber wall, which is what we want to shoot for. Okay, we'll hit number 1 there. We'll unfreeze. Really haven't moved my hand hardly at all, so we'll hit number 2 now. We're going to do a video clip over the mitral valve. Okay, now we're going to hit our color button. We're going to position our color box just right over the valve. A little bit of the color box over the atrium, a little over the ventricle. Okay. Now if it gets dark on you, kind of like it did with our color box, we're going to use the background gain here. We're just going to brighten that up a little bit, where you can kind of see our valves in there a little bit better. So all I did, I took the overall gain up. I wanted to brighten up my image when I turn my color box on. Okay. And the button here, the PRF, you always want to maximize that out. If you notice, it went from 51 to 72. Okay, 77's as high as our machine will go in the echo setting. Why is that important? Because if anyone didn't tell you what this color scale means, if you see it says 72 centimeters a second, that means any blood moving slower than that, the computer's not going to register it. Okay? Any blood moving at 72 or faster, the computer will start registering that. And that's important because if your PRF is set too low, you can start giving your patient cardiac disease inadvertently and they don't have it. Okay? So we always want to make sure our scale's maxed out. And generally it will take you about to the level it will give you, but just get in the habit of just hitting the PRF once or twice just to see if your scale will change. Okay? When we're over that, we're going to hit number 2. We'll just do our video clip over that. Okay. Once we're done with that, we're going to go B mode. Now I'm going to darken it up a little bit because I turned up my gain for my. Okay. And I'm going to throw this, when we talked about that TGC, okay, the more you play with that thing, the more I kind of create what's called like a reverse C curve. So I'm taking a little bit of energy from the top, a little bit of energy from the bottom, and I'm just putting it more towards the center of the heart here, okay? Again, the more you play with that, the more you'll be able to make these kind of curves. But again, your default is your 3rd or 4th TGC down, okay? We'll still do the job for you. I'm just making the system do a little extra for us just by manually manipulating this a little bit, okay, with that. So we're done with the mitral valve. Now we're going to tilt a little cranial, okay?